I felt compelled to make this video. Um, Obviously, people are asking me, well, what do you think about the second fight? Obviously, the first one was so dramatic, right? Because some people felt that I was out of my mind for saying that Bradley won the first fight by a point. Well, let me get right into the scorecards of this fight because here's a fight that was fought different, but in terms of scoring, very similar to the first fight. Um, I got it on my iPhone here. Let me just pull it up. Oh, there it is. Pacquiao and Bradley. First round was 10-9 for Bradley. Right, not too much happened, but Bradley landed a couple shots. I think that solidified the round. Second round was too tough to call. You could have gave it to Pacquiao, but Bradley came back strong at the end. So I found it hard to really, uh, you know, listen. Any round that I felt was very hard to decide who won. To be fair, I called it a draw. So I got a lot of draw rounds. Second round, 10-10. Third round, 10-10. Fourth round, 10-9 for Bradley. Fifth round, 10-9 for Bradley. Sixth round, 10-9 for Pacquiao. Seventh round, 10-9 for Pacquiao. Eighth round, 10-9 for Bradley. Ninth round, 10-9 for Pacquiao. 10th round, 10-9 for Pacquiao. 11th round, 10-9 for Bradley. And 12th round, final round, 10-10 for Pacquiao. And that's my scorecards. You add all that shit up, and what you get is a score of 116 to 115 in favor of the winner by 1 point. From Palm Springs, California, the Desert Storm, Timothy Bradley. Yes, and in my mind, Timmy is still undefeated. Now, this like the first fight is like it could have gone either way. Honestly, I felt the judges were looking to give it to Pacquiao. Honestly, I do. I don't know why. Pacquiao is not as his stance in boxing is not. He's very big name still. Don't get me wrong, but he's not as relevant as it would be. Like to say like they're gonna fight to keep him undefeated. If Pacquiao loses a fight nowadays, I think he loses a fight. I don't think it's. I mean, Bob Arum doesn't do business with big time companies like obviously like Golden Boy. So the Mayweather fight doesn't obviously that's like out the window, but he's keeping his fighters fighting each other within his stable of boxing. So honestly I don't see why they would give a fight to Pacquiao, but I did felt like the judges were looking to give it to Pacquiao, especially when I heard the scores 118 to 110 is ridiculous. That's just fucking ridiculous. This fight was close. It was a couple rounds also where it was same shit. Pacquiao's throwing a lot. He was bringing the pressure. Bradley could have done more, but then Bradley was like avoiding shots, and then he was pot shotting him at times. I forget which round it was. I think it might have been the 11th round. Might have been the 11th round, but Bradley like Pacquiao threw a lot of punches, but Bradley avoided the punches and he pot shotted him. And he was actually connecting them by just pot shotting them. So even though Bradley appeared tired, obviously exhausted from, the first 6 rounds of putting all his might into every single punch, he burnt himself out. But still, that's the thing I like about Bradley. He has good ring smarts. He can box. He can box and he moves very well on his feet. That's the thing I like about Bradley. He's very quick, and you got to take that into consideration when facing a guy like Pacquiao. Bradley can outbox Pacquiao. At this stage, he can. Pacquiao is clearly not the same fighter. He's not bouncing on his toes, going from angle to angle to angle. He's just not. Now, give or take, it was easier to switch the angle up on Brandon Rios, who's flat-footed and coming straight forward towards you, than it is on a slick fighter like Timothy Bradley. Bradley was turning Manny a lot of times, but I seen at times where Manny was trapped in a corner and he would reverse the angle on Bradley. But another thing Bradley was doing was momentarily he was going southpaw sometimes, momentarily for split seconds. So Bradley's a very versatile fighter. Overall, Bradley was trying to take Manny's head off, and you got to respect the man for that, for believing in himself with only 12 knockouts, for still saying, you know what, I'm gonna put everything into these shots and I'm gonna try to knock this guy out. How many fighters actually do that? I mean, do you think Paulie Malignaggi would go in the ring and try to knock out Manny Pacquiao? He knows to himself he doesn't have the power. He knows it. You know what I mean? But Bradley doesn't settle for that. That's what I love about his mentality, man. He don't settle for that shit. He says, you know what? He's a man. I'm a man. I'm going to get it done. I don't care what happened in the past or what. I'm going to get it done. I'm going to train hard, and I'm going to knock this guy out. And if I don't knock this guy out, then I'm going to try to hurt him. That's his mentality, and that's what makes him so special as a fighter. I think it's going to be a rubber match. It's going to be a third fight. I can almost guarantee that Bob Arum's going to make Pacquiao face a different opponent and Bradley face a different opponent. And then probably early next year, there'll be the rubber match, the third match between them. Makes sense. I mean, who else are they going to face? If Bradley doesn't leave Top Rank, and I don't think he's eager to leave Top Rank. You know what I'm saying? He already stated he's, if the Mayweather fight happened, if it don't, he's not like crazy about it. But, if you ask me for Bradley, I wouldn't mind seeing a rubber match. I sure as hell would want to see Bradley face Pacquiao a third time than see Marquez and Pacquiao go at it again. I think that chapter should just be closed, And I understand if they keep fighting, it's still, history and memories that could be made if they continue to fight. It's possible. You never know what could happen in a fifth fight, but I just feel like that Marquez closed that chapter and it's time to move on. But I wouldn't mind seeing Bradley and Pacquiao fight again. Honestly, I could have called this fight a draw. To be fair, I almost honestly was thinking they're going to call it a draw. They're going to call it a draw. But when I heard the 118 to 110, that just makes me think that this fight was meant for Pacquiao to win. That the judges were already in favor from the beginning of the fight to give it to Pacquiao. They were looking to give rounds to Pacquiao because 118 to 110, it seems ridiculous to me. At the same time, let me backtrack on what I just said. A lot of rounds I have draws. Let me go back to my little list here. I got 1, 2, 3. Well, I got 3 rounds that are draw rounds. The 12th, the 2nd, and the 3rd. And the rounds that I picked a winner, I felt were decisive enough to give to the other person. If I wasn't clear about it, and I watched some of these rounds again and again. I rewinded it. I watched some in slow motion to see if the punch landed. Like even the last round, I thought for a second it was a punch, but it actually was a headbutt. I rewinded that and watched that in slow motion, but that was a headbutt. I took my time and watched it. I watched it only one other time for a second time, but I watched some rounds. Like what I'm saying is I rewinded it and I watched the round again and again to make sure I got the right person because I really want to be fair with this. The same thing I did for the first fight, and I got Bradley winning by a point. But, you flip one of them rounds away, it's a draw, I really thought they was going to call it a draw. But they gave it to Pacquiao. It's all good, I felt the rounds that I gave each fighter are decisive enough, but I can't say that like, everybody's it's subjective. It depends what you're looking for. But I just felt to myself scoring the fight like, man, the rounds that I gave that I were unsure about, I called a draw. And to me, that's just being fair. The rounds that I think it was decisive enough, I gave it to that fighter. So, with me coming out with a 1-point score in favor of Bradley, I just think that Pacquiao, it's possible other rounds could have went to Pacquiao. Maybe he wins by 3-4 points. That's possible. I can't be mad at that. They gave it to Pacquiao. Can't be mad at that. Bradley got the first fight. The first fight, I only had Bradley winning by a point. So it's interesting how these fights were both tough fights to score. Pacquiao seems to not have, give or take, I take nothing from Bradley. Like his punches moved Manny. They lifted Manny off the canvas at one time. Like they showed the replay in slow motion. Bradley is punching with authority more than ever. Guy's got power. I mean, I don't know if he has knockout power, but he's got power, You don't necessarily have to knock a motherfucker out unconscious to prove you got power, but he's got power. Like, he can hurt you. He can mangle your face. He was giving some brutal body shots to Manny Pacquiao. He should have kept going to the body, nonstop. If anything, maybe that's a way you could possibly stop Manny. But Manny doesn't seem to have the same punch resistance, if you ask me. Doesn't seem to have the same punch resistance I don't think he's as energized as before in terms of, the way he used to bounce around all fucking day like a rabbit. I don't think he's got the energy for that shit no more. I just don't think he's got it. I think he's slowing down a bit. His punch resistance is definitely fading, but he's still got power and he's still got a lot of heart. So you can't count Manny Pacquiao out. He's definitely among the elite still. And like I said, I expect Bob Arum to put match each Bradley and Pacquiao against different opponents, in which I'm sure they'll probably get a victory, and expect to see a rubber match sometime next year. More than likely, because I don't want to see Pacquiao and Marquez fight again. The Mayweather fight shouldn't even be interesting at this point. When Pacquiao was at the top level prime, whether it was steroids or natural or whatever the case it was, when he was doing that damage and he was on that streak and he seemed invincible, and keep in mind I saying seem invincible, that was the time to fight Mayweather. Now it's like, it's just, if they fought, it would just be for the hell of clearing the air. Let me clear my throat from all the shit that's been, but like, I don't think that fight ever is going to happen. I'm not interested in happening. And even if it was to get signed, I wouldn't be hyped. The only thing I would be hyped about is probably the 24/7s because I want to hear all the shit that's been building up for years that each camp and each trainer has to say about the other. That's all I want to hear. But in terms of the actual fight, it wouldn't be all that to me because I think it's clear we know who's going to win these fights. Even the Filipinos know what I think. Like, let's be real. So yeah, it was a good fight. It was a good fight. It was a good fight. You got to respect Bradley for taking that loss like a man. But like I said, in my eyes, Bradley is he hasn't been beaten. He's been matched. Out of the first two fights, I can say he's been matched, tough. But I've never seen anybody really beat Bradley. Like, I mean, straight outclass Bradley, straight make him look bad. So honestly, the fight I'm most interested in the welterweight division is Tim Bradley and Mayweather, and I've been interested in this fight for quite some time now. I'm really interested to see Bradley versus Mayweather, but that may not happen unless I don't know. Bradley's in a contract with Top Rank, but while Bradley's in his prime, I would love him to get one of them Mayweather fights in before Mayweather retires. That's the fight I'm interested in. Also Keith Thurman. I'm keeping a strong eye on him. Obviously, he's not getting thrown into the mix with the big names yet, but I'm sure sooner or later, he'll get his time to shine, and we'll see what he's made of when he steps up in class. So, it was a good fight. What can I say, man? Close fight. Could have went either way. Whoever you pick to win, fine. But don't give me no 118 to 110 shit, man. Slideways 100. I'm out.